Hello and welcome back to the land of SIKA, and once again we are here on the character screen. However, here's the thing, I've actually advanced in level. I didn't even realize that was the case, in fact, and now we have some, yes. You can quite clearly tell. I'm a bit disappointed by these options, and I don't really understand what the big deal is with either of these, to be honest. Because here's the thing, look at this. You need to be a governor, right, to actually take advantage of the primary benefits of these perks. And in my opinion, I feel like that is a big waste. I've already talked about this at length in the past, and I haven't really said anything for months now about how, you know, perks are not that impactful, or at least some of them. And there are others that are amazing and so incredibly impactful and change fundamentally how you play, just purely for the fact that you have either more survivability, more speed, more of something, you know. But for me personally, some of the engineering and the steward and other things that have to do with governorship, it really does not do them any favors, in my opinion. I feel as though these perks are, it's basically just a case of, oh, I'll just flip a coin and boom, I'll pick one. That's pretty much it. Because here's the thing. These both, as you can see, allow you to craft fire versions of siege engines. It's the exact same thing. The exact same thing in the secondary option. And the first option is just a governor thing, which again is not actually going to affect the player character, which is real sad, in my opinion. I feel like these things should always affect the player character no matter what, just purely for the fact that it's actually kind of fun? I don't know. It seems kind of fun to me, at least. Anyway, I'm just going to go and increase my one-handed skill, because that's pretty much all I can do. Everything else is kind of awful, and I've already increased my smithing to the maximum it can be. Hilariously enough, my smithing is still not leveled up. I really should level it up, but we are so close to the end now. And all things considered, it might very well be the case that this might be the penultimate episode. Not entirely sure. But here's the thing. I'm going to show you the diplomacy screen after this, and you'll kind of get an inkling as to what is happening. Because if I show you that, you'll see just how much combat strength our faction currently has. And for me personally, I love this mod. I think this mod is amazing. I think the way that they have provided custom troop trees, the way that they have completely overhauled the world map and the factions, and they've given them very clear individual. Oh, that guy went flying. Oh, I love that. Anyway, they've given them very clear very clear you know, what is it now? Personalities and appearance and so on and so forth. So that's really helping a great deal to increase one's enjoyment of the mod. And now here's the thing. I have so much combat strength, or shall we say our faction has so much combat strength, that I can generally, probably at this point, just let the game run, and I think my forces would probably be able to achieve victory in the end. Of course, it is going to take a lot longer, you know, I mean, as you might expect. It's definitely going to take longer, because of course that's the whole point of having the player character interfere in these kinds of situations. There's always going to be a situation where the player character can speed things along. But for me personally, I don't know whether it's worth me continuing. So I'm just going to show you afterwards, and then you can form your own opinion, however you want to say it. But for me personally, I feel like, yeah, you know, we should probably move on. And go somewhere else. And I do have a mod in mind that might be quite fun to play. Might be kind of cool. It's going to change the map completely, and it's going to be pretty familiar, possibly, to those of you that have been with the channel for some years. I first played this mod, I think it was in 2014 in Warband, I think. I mean, it's not the same mod, obviously, but it is a mod that has the same kind of subject matter but for Bannerlord. And so I'm thinking, hey, you know what, that might be kind of fun, even though, as I say to you, I love this mod. I think it's fantastic. The amount of enjoyment that I get from, you know, pulling out my bow, doing a little bit of damage with a really, really proficient character is always fun, you know. That's just so fun to do. And it's kind of relaxing in a way as well. It's kind of relaxing because you think, oh yeah, you know, I basically can't miss, you know. I mean, unless I'm personally bad, you know. My own skill comes into effect at that point, you know, rather than my characters. So it's all about me actually being accurate, which is cool. I like that. I like how that actually ends up being the case. In the end, if you have a decent amount of archery skill, it's always going to come down to player skill rather than your character skill, which I think is cool. But obviously when you start a new playthrough, you go all the way back to 0, basically. And then you have to, you know, deal with all those misfires and the, you know, random accuracy and all that funny stuff. And obviously that has its own kind of enjoyment associated with it as well. Anyway, I'm just going to zoom things along because apparently there's someone still running away or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but yes. Anyway, there we are. That is a wonderful victory in the castle of this area, the last castle of this area, should I say? And that's the thing. You'll see what's happening after this. In terms of the world map, I should have actually taken those garrison units. Kind of a misplay on my part, but it's only 9. You know, it doesn't really make that much difference, I suppose. Especially considering even if people want to take this, it's not a big deal. If they want to take this back, I can easily take it from them once again. Anyway, let me show you the map real fast, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So I have basically just taken all of this right now in the last. In the last 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that, I have taken all of this stuff. So I took Thorios Castle, I took Wazaki, I took Nakara, and then we also took Garontor Castle. And then up here, obviously, we have a pretty significant problem on our hands. Obviously, we do have some nice army strengths over here. Unfortunately, it seems like Chong-Hee is actually going to die, which is going to be kind of sad because he was actually doing a fantastic job. But yeah, as it stands, you can see here just how large our territory is in comparison to the last remaining factions. So if you take a look here, we have 18,000 total combat strength. Bear in mind, that's actually not even the full amount with which we could have, to be honest. Like, literally, if we had a period of peace, our combat strength would go up by at least 6,000, maybe around that number, maybe 5,000, maybe 6,000. Maybe I'm being a bit too exaggerated, but generally we would have over 20,000 easily. And then you have the Rablam, as you can quite clearly tell. They are looking pretty awful. They only have 8 towns and 8 castles. They are currently at war against the Prauen, as you might expect, and the Prauen have 11,000. So you can quite clearly see where the inevitable is going at this point, which is kind of sad in my opinion, because as I say, I do very much enjoy the mod. However, it might be time, you know, it might be time to say goodbye. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this particular episode. Maybe I'll be able to eliminate the lomoca. I would like to be able to eliminate the lomoca first before calling it, basically. That's kind of my my sort of last wish, that what we could potentially accomplish, because you could see here they only have 2 towns, 7 castles. Should be pretty easy for us to deal with. But I'd also like to go back to my settlement right now. That's exactly what I'm doing right here. And I'm actually going to be getting rid of some of my horses as well. It seems like I'm moving way too slowly, so let me actually see what I can do about that. We're just going to get rid of a lot of these. No, not the Sumter horses, thank you very much. I almost made a huge error right there. Okay, that would have been pretty awful. Okay, yeah, so that's actually working out really nicely for us. What, the steppe horses? Surely the steppe horses don't actually help. Oh well, whatever the case, there you go. All those horses are now gone, and now we're moving much, much faster. So yes, anyway, the other thing that I would very much like to accomplish before the end of the series is advancing our player house to level 10. I'm not sure, and now here's the thing, I really don't know, whether we even have enough resources to be able to do that. I have obviously been fighting and fighting and fighting this entire time, and I have never once upgraded my player house. I think my player house is on level 4. I think it's on level 4 or something like that. And it's already costing me 1,000 to upgrade it. And obviously, every single time you want to do an upgrade, it increases its cost by 200 or something. Oh, it's actually level 5. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to use 1,200. As you can see, we only have 7,200 wood, which kind of makes me a little bit dubious about whether we're even going to be able to do this, because it's going to cost me 1,400 next time. That's going to be level 6, and then yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough, unfortunately, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see that, but whatever the case, let's just buy 90 of these eggplants. And I was actually thinking of creating them as horse archers, so that we could run around on the world map really fast, because obviously then we would have all cavalry, of course. But the problem with doing that, and this is obviously the reason why it's usually a really good idea to do those kinds of things, and I'm talking about changing your army composition when you have just been defeated. Because if you've just been defeated, or you're at a place where you can kind of take your time and sort of move things around a little bit, and oh, look at that, I have just gained the generous trait, probably because I've been spending a lot of money. But yeah, so as I say, the ability to change your composition, because here's the thing, obviously I have so many horses, right? But if my forces, and I'm talking about the eggplants here at this point, if they have a bunch of horses magically appearing out of nowhere, because of course they are custom units, then all the horses in my inventory are going to be useless, and they're going to be redundant, and it's going to make us have a massive herd disadvantage, which is going to slow us down even further than it would have otherwise. So then you're going to need to get rid of those horses and so on. So that's kind of the main problem with doing that. But of course, if you're nearby to a particular town or something like that, then obviously you can just, you know, do whatever you need to do to get rid of all those things. Anyway, we do have some more armies. Oh, look at this guy. He's running around with over 1,000. Wow, crazy. Okay, really like that. So let's actually just go straight on into the castle, and I'm actually going to demonstrate something real fast for you here as well, because here's the thing, these castles, I don't actually need to do anything in regards to taking these castles. You may think, oh yeah, you probably don't, because I mean, look at that, there's only 250 in here, look at their combat strength, you know. But I think it's been like this for a while, maybe the past couple of episodes, I'm not entirely sure, but in my off-screen time, as I said to you before, where I took 30-40 minutes to take all those things, I didn't actually attack in the castle ones, and we were able to very easily win the day. So for example, let me just show you here. Obviously this only works with the super speed mod, in my opinion, because obviously the super speed mod makes it so that the game runs at a much faster speed and I don't have to do anything. Obviously it takes a lot longer if you didn't have this, because I'm gonna then just be waiting for my forces for about 10 minutes or something. I mean, how long has it been? No, actually not even 10 minutes. They took 4 minutes to completely eliminate every single person in the keep, with the exception of one militia. What's actually going on with that one militia? You see how much time would be wasted if I hadn't got the super speed mod on? Look at this. It's been 6 minutes and they haven't found this one enemy. Ooh, that needs to be fixed, in my opinion. These kinds of things need to be fixed. But, yeah, I think I might have to retreat. It's been 8 minutes. It has literally been 8 minutes, 9 minutes now, and counting. I might need to retreat and then just literally go straight back on in. That's literally all I can do, because otherwise we're just going to be standing outside there doing pretty much nothing. So let me send my troops, I guess. Yep, there we go. That's what I'm going to have to do. And we'll just rescue a bunch of people, and then we'll just slap them in the garrison as best we can afterwards. And yeah, that by the way, that pop-up that says, "Oh, you're leaving behind free loot." Yes, yeah, that is annoying. I don't know whether it's just me, But I personally find that annoying because it basically comes up and says, yeah, you're leaving behind free loot. I mean, I understand. I do get it. I know that I'm leaving behind free loot because that's what I'm intending to do. But I guess maybe if you're a little bit newer to the game, I don't know. I guess so, maybe. I mean, maybe it's good that it comes up because sometimes you're going to forget, potentially. I mean, I know I have in the past, so maybe it is kind of useful. Anyway, we're just going to give this to someone. Doesn't really matter who, as I say. As long as it goes to someone that is actually going to be doing a pretty decent job with it. And no, we're not going to be doing anything with peace. Thank you very much. Yeah, those fellows trying to sneak it. Oh yeah, remember that in the previous episode? Yeah. Oh, Ukor got himself taken prisoner. Are you serious right now? I'm actually super surprised that I'm seeing a lot of my armies be defeated. That's really weird, in my opinion, because the lomoca are running around. Oh, there's actually an army with over 1,000, or nearly 1,000. Okay, that might be quite fun. That might be quite fun for us to go for. So, yeah, as I said, what we're going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate this as well, because it's very, very simple for us to take castles now. I do actually attack in the towns, because in my opinion, towns, especially if they have over 1,000 units in the garrison, they really do need a little bit of extra assistance, a little bit of an extra push here and there. But these castles have such a small garrison that our forces are just able to go straight on in and do massive damage. Of course, bear in mind, we did end up losing quite a few units in the process, so it's not an easy win, that's for sure. It's just a win. And that's pretty much all we can really take away from that. Oh, and we get to rescue 300 troops. Okay. Okay. Now that's actually hilarious. That is really funny. Okay, so yeah, boom. Just slap 300 in there. That is really crazy. I wouldn't have expected that in a million years for this castle to have so many prisoners. They have made a huge error actually doing that. I'm going to wait here in the garrison just until some of my forces get back on their feet. And then we're probably going to go and attempt to attack this army, because otherwise they're going to be... well, let's just say they're going to be a huge thorn in our side, and I'm not making peace with them. They almost got me again. Look at that. They almost got me again. I'm not making peace with you. Oh, I can't believe it. I wanted to resolve the ownership, but then it puts me through to the peace voting screen. Yeah, it really shouldn't do that, in my opinion. I feel like it should... you know, just take you through to where you click on, because I actually clicked on the voting for the castle, and obviously, as you saw, it then asked me to vote on the peace agreement, and then I basically wasted, what was it, 1,400 influence or something like that. So the next time we are called to vote upon something, and I want to overturn that vote, good luck. We're not going to be able to do that, which is real unfortunate, but okay. Guess that's just how it goes sometimes, but I definitely think that shouldn't happen, where, you know, you click on something, it should take you right through to that decision, rather than going through to the default decision, which was the peace agreement at the time. Or, not the default decision, but the previous decision that you didn't want to vote on, basically. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. I just think, in general, it should be a little bit more... selective about what you're able to do with it, because otherwise you're wasting your own resources. And just imagine if I didn't have that amount of influence at the time. You know, imagine that. I'd basically be making peace with a faction that is quite clearly losing the battle, and it would be awful. It would be absolutely terrible. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that needs to be changed a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, as I say. Maybe I'm a special case when it comes to that. Maybe I really don't have an objective view on things, because I have played the game for a very long time, so it could very well be that I'm just having a unique perspective, or shall we say, not a unique perspective. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, I've played it a lot, and I kind of want to have a bit more control over what I'm able to do and what I'm not able to do, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of the reason why I really enjoy the diplomacy mod, because that makes it possible for me to claim ownership over fiefs way before even going through to any kind of vote. And if you want overall control, you know, over your faction, I think that's actually a really nice idea, and I absolutely love that mod because it makes everything so much nicer for you in general, because then you're able to disperse your fiefs to whoever you want, basically. You don't have to make it so that you take them all, obviously. You know, if you want to, you can do that, of course. But if you don't want to, then you can claim them yourself, and then you can give the fiefs to anyone you like in your faction. And in my opinion, that provides so much more control than how it is right now. And it's kind of limiting to have the vote come up and have only 3 choices. And that's actually kind of what grinds my gears a little bit about that whole system, because I don't know why that would actually be the case. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, I understand, you know, if there's a vassal that has a fief nearby to the fief that you've just captured, then of course that would be logistically better. And if we're talking only logistics, then that's absolutely fine. But what about if you don't necessarily trust this vassal, or you think, oh, I don't really want to give this to this guy, I'd prefer to give it to this one who just joined us or something. I don't know. There's any number of situations where this lack of control in regards to your voting system is going to be really harsh. And it's going to bite back, as it were. It's going to be kind of difficult to deal with. And that's the funny thing, because if you look at Warband, and I'm not saying that Warband is a prime example of the voting system, but I feel like you have more control in Warband than you do in Bannerlord, which is weird. It shouldn't be like that, you know? It shouldn't be like that at all. Because in Warband, whenever you're... Hopefully I don't die here. There we go. Okay, we're fine. As long as my horse doesn't die, I should be okay. But yeah, in Warband, whenever you capture something, you are required to choose who gets it, obviously. And that's perfectly fine. But you don't have a choice between only 3 of your allies. You can choose between any of them. And I'm talking about if you have 10 vassals, if you have, 2 or whatever, you can always decide between those 2. Or, and this is what I'm talking about right now, or you can decide not to give it to anyone. And that really makes a big difference. Because think about this, you've got some spare land, you want some spare land and you want to give that to, well, you don't want to give that to anyone, but you want to have that so that when a potential vassal is looking at your faction, you then say, oh, look at this, I've got this fief here for you. Or at the very least, it's going to do that under the hood, you know what I mean? It's going to do that in the background. And that's actually some of the reason why vassals might join you in Warband, because you have spare land, you have spare land for them to come over, and you can entice them with that, you know what I mean? Whereas in Bannerlord, that's actually not the case. You either have to have it yourself so that you can gift it to them, but then, of course, as I've already said, there's a bit of an issue with that when you have a lack of control over it. You can't decide whether you get it or anything like that. That's the reason why the diplomacy mod really makes a huge difference. But obviously, as I say, if it's not updated, or if you don't find anything like that, or maybe you just don't like the way that the diplomacy mod does things. Who knows? Maybe you just don't like it, then you're gonna have some issues, because then you gotta deal with the native way of doing it, which is fine, because that's what we've been doing in the Land of SIKA playthrough so far, as you can quite clearly tell. And we've not really had that many issues with it, but I'd definitely say that, again, it feels like I have very little choice. It feels like I have to allow the AI to choose for me, basically. So any single time there's a fief, there's a vote, and then whoever has the most support is going to get it no matter what. And I'm kind of railroaded into choosing whoever that may be. And of course, that doesn't necessarily exclude me, because I have actually gained a fief as well. Amusingly enough, I did gain a town recently. One of the, I think it was Wazaki. Wazaki was actually given to me through a vote. They all wanted me to have it. I had, I think, 76% of the vote or something like that, and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I don't mind taking it, because it's quite close to my other fiefs, and It's relatively safe. It's nestled a bit further back from the front lines. Kind of makes sense for me to have it, right? And I did have some spare units to be able to make them into the garrison, basically. I could just put them in the garrison and it's all good. But that's the thing, that doesn't happen every single time, and you're going to have some difficulties if it doesn't, you know, because otherwise you're just going to be in a situation where you're thinking to yourself, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do with these guys who are just forcing me into deciding who gets it? And you're never actually forced into anything in Warband, which is really weird to me, in my opinion, that the amount of freedom that the player has is so dramatically reduced in Bannerlord. And you wouldn't think that that would be the case, but it is. It's very strange, and I don't know why. Maybe they're going to fix that, as I say. Maybe they're going to fix that. Maybe they just don't really care, because mods can obviously fix that, which I think is good, you know. Obviously, having the ability to install mods and things like that is going to be fantastic. It's really going to make things so much easier in the long run, because then the developers can actually focus on other things, whatever it is they do, and you know, then we don't really have to worry about that, because we can just install a mod. But obviously then it's very much reliant on the community, and who knows, sometimes things happen, and you never know. Sometimes they might just disappear. You never know whether the mod just disappears and then everyone can't get it. And I've seen that happen before with Warband as well, where there was a mod that everyone wanted, and the creator just disappeared off the face of the planet with no download links or anything like that available, and it was then forever lost. And that's potentially what can happen at any time. And so that's the reason why it's kind of sad, because then, you know, if you want to get the diplomacy mod, for example, you're gonna be out of luck in that regard. So that's the reason why I think that personally, in these cases, it should, I'm talking about the base game here, the base game should have those kinds of structures already in place, so that the mod community doesn't have to implement them. You know, it feels like, you know, it should be a base thing. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, rant over. How long was I talking about that? Anyway, I feel like it's kind of important. No? I feel like it's kind of important to talk about that kind of stuff, because it actually makes things more apparent. You know, you kind of think to yourself, oh yeah, that's true. Or, oh no, you suck. You don't know what you're talking about, reformist. You know? And and that's fine, you know, if you want to say that, that's fine, absolutely. But yeah, as I say, there you are. Those are my thoughts on it, at the very least. My thoughts on the voting system. Yes, how wonderful of me to go so in depth about it. Yes. Okay, wait a minute. Let's actually get some kills here, shall we? Let's actually try and wait a minute. Is this a castle? Oh, why am I even bothering? Okay. Why am I even bothering to do anything? I can just send my forces in. Well, we actually did clear out the area and actually did get the ladder up really, really fast. And that actually made things really much easier for us. So, not bad. Not bad. I don't really mind that too much. But yeah. And there's also a bunch of changes coming as well in the foreseeable future for Bannerlord as well. So I'm actually looking forward to those, because there are some ones that I'm thinking will make siege warfare specifically. Don't even get me started about it. Yeah, you know me. Okay, it's yeah. I'll make a video on it. Actually, I'm gonna make a video on it, and I'll talk about the various changes that are coming, and we'll see what happens, because I have some strong opinions on it. And I don't know whether it's really gonna benefit. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't know whether it's really gonna benefit the game as a whole, but we'll see. Anyway, let me move on to the town, and we'll just give this to someone. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go and buy some grain, because I actually need to do that for our dog. Oh yeah, because people have actually been asking about the dog. Don't worry, it's on auto feed. So basically, any single time it needs food, it is all good. It is just done automatically, and I don't need to do anything about it. And that's absolutely fantastic, because then it just automatically gets what it needs, and I don't forget, or something like that. So it's really quite nice. Otherwise, we're basically just going to be selling all of these weapons. I am over capacity at the moment, mostly due to the fact that I just bought a bunch of grain. But that's fine, because as I say, we really do need to feed the dog. I mean, it was being fed, but I think it needed a little bit more than that. So, yeah. Anyway, let's actually see what's going on here. Okay, so yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 castles. Okay. Yes, how wonderful. All right, what is Kun Feng doing there? He is not really doing much. Oh, no, he's besieging. Okay, he's actually besieging. And we can go into paclu here. Did I level up, actually? No. It's not going to be that it's not going to be that fast, is it? Okay, so let's just recruit these Dark Wave Knights, and we'll besiege the town. And as far as personally, I feel like this will probably be the final siege of the series, because, as I say, I'd like to eliminate the lomoca, but you've kind of seen how simple it is for us to take fiefs. And for me, I think that that's probably going to be the case throughout. And I'm talking about, against the Prauen, against the Rablam, and so on. And that's all there is to it, really. That's all there is to it. And we've already kind of fought against the Rablam and the Prauen as well. So if, yeah, that's the point. If we hadn't fought against them beforehand, it would have been pretty cool to get into some battles with them and things. But we've already kind of done that, because the Prauen are pretty much like the Swadians, as far as I remember. But they have what is it now? They don't have crossbowmen, they have archers. That's pretty much it. That's the difference between them. Otherwise, they are focused very heavily on cavalry. And the Rablam are pretty much like Saronids, or if you want to liken them to Bannerlord factions, then they like the Aserai, I guess. They like the Aserai. And the same thing with the Vlandians. Now, this is what I was talking about, by the way, in regards to the wooden walls. If you see wooden walls, it's impossible to do, well, if they have spikes, that is, of course. It's impossible to do the maneuver that I just did, where I just jumped onto the battlements, because obviously I had a little bit of an extra little momentum push, and I was able to then get on top of the battlements and then walk over to behind the enemy's lines. That's impossible to do in certain keep layouts, and that's exactly the reason why I really love these kinds of layouts. It just makes everything so much more dynamic and fun, because you're able to get, in creative ways. And I always like that, because you see here, as soon as you get to the top of the, well, should we say the apex of the ladder, then you hit the jump key, and then you just jump straight onto one of these battlements, and then you can just walk over the battlements behind the enemy's lines. And that is just so incredibly effective, especially if you have a melee-based character with a large polearm like I do, because you can just go to town on the back line, and the enemy can pretty much not do anything, unless they obviously swarm you. But as we know, Bannerlord AI is a little bit, well, they don't do that much. I think Warband AI is a bit better in that regard, which is really weird. Again, don't know why that would be the case, but look, they are actually swarming me. Aha. But they didn't do it very well. Well, they might actually kill me. They might actually kill me. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of jiggery-pokery right here. Oh, well, never mind. Okay. They just basically gave up. I don't think Warband AI gives up as much as the Bannerlord one. I'm not sure. I mean, I've only been cornered a couple of times in Warband, but usually when I'm cornered in Bannerlord, I don't really have that many issues in regards to getting out of it, if you know what I mean. Maybe that's just because the environments are larger, or it could be because my character is just better, because obviously athletic skill in Bannerlord is just so much better than in Warband. Because in Warband, athletic skill is literally just running speed. And I've always said, 100% of the time, I would love athletic skill to have some kind of other benefit, and that's exactly what happened in Bannerlord. It does have another benefit. You know, it increases your HP. It increases all manner of things. It actually makes you do more damage in certain aspects as well. So very much appreciate the fact that that has been changed. And as I said as well, I would have loved to have seen some kind of dodge mechanic, but I know that some people don't really like that because it's not quote-unquote realistic. But for me personally, I feel like if you're super athletic, it very much depends, obviously. But I think it would be really cool if there was some kind of dodge mechanic in place. Not for the enemy, potentially, but maybe for the enemy vassals. I think the enemy vassals, that could be really fun, but regular units, not so much, because obviously if you have a bunch of enemy units that are just dodging endlessly, then it's going to be really difficult to pin them down and actually take them out. So that's obviously a bit of an issue. But if the enemy vassals have that kind of mechanic implemented within them with the athletic skill, I think that that's fine, because it makes things maybe a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a bit more fun in regards to duels and things like that with them. I don't know, because then you have these situations where you're fighting these vassals and a lucky dodge here or there, which is probably the reason why it's maybe not the best idea anyway, because it's luck based. But, you know, let's just say that a lucky dodge comes in for the enemy, and then a lucky dodge comes in for you, and you're both at really low HP. One last hit will seal the deal, as it were. And yeah, it just, I don't know, it feels like it would improve the intensity of dueling and things, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, as I say. Anyway, yeah, as I say, that's probably going to be it for the series. And yeah, otherwise, it's pretty much, we're pretty much done, I think. We're pretty much done. As you can see, we've just increased our combat strength, and the Rablam and the Prowan, they're basically at the same exact combat strength, and we would be very much able to completely murder them. In my opinion, at least, I think we would be able to do that. And the lomoca, of course, they're going to be eliminated very, very soon too. You can see how easily we took the town, very minimal casualties, and then we can just sweep across the entirety of all the other castles and the town itself too. And then we'll just make peace, and then they'll inevitably join us, and then we'll become super strong, and then we'll go over to the Prowan, and we will eliminate them as well. So that's kind of the reason why series end for me, because it becomes very clear that that is exactly the kind of result we're going to see. And while I did not get to eliminate the lomoca, which I very much would have liked to have done, it doesn't really matter, because as you've seen, I've been very easily able to murder quite a few of them. But anyway, that's going to be it for this series, and stay tuned for the next one. I am looking forward to the next one quite a bit, because it's, as I say, it's another total conversion. I'm hoping it's going to be cool. If it's not cool, then, well, we don't really have to continue with it, I suppose, but otherwise, I thank you very much for joining me on this journey. This was actually one of my longer series that I've done in recent times. And I very much appreciate you coming along for the ride. And hopefully you'll join me for the next one. I thank you very much once again. And I'll see you next time.